He is the self-made millionaire that's made it his mission to teach over 250,000 people the financial skills you should have learnt at school. Jamie McIntyre is taking your calls and sharing invaluable money skills, from internet businesses to property investments, share trading to empowering women and youth with market smarts. Take advantage of his worldwide experience and get your questions ready for Jamie McIntyre tonight on Your Money, Your Call on Australia's Business Channel.
The information featured in this program is general in nature and therefore should not be relied upon. Before making any investment, insurance or financial planning decisions, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you. On Australia's Business Channel. Welcome to Your Money, Your Call.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me for tonight's edition of Your Money, Your Call. I'm Nina May. Well, joining us for the first time this evening is Jamie McIntyre, who's the CEO and founder of 21st Century Education. Jamie is an entrepreneur, investor, author and self-made millionaire who's made it his mission to teach people financial skills that he believes should have been taught in school. Be interested to find out what they are. Now, also joining us on the program once again tonight is Mike Goodall, who's Managing Director of InPro Australia, which provides financial advice as well as investment management services to small businesses, families and individuals. Well, Mike has more than 2 decades of experience in the financial services industry, making him ripe and ready to answer all of your questions. So do give us a call. Our phone lines are now open. The number to call there on your screen, 1300 30 34 35, or of course you can send us an email, yourcall@skynews.com.au. Now, as a special treat, the first 5 callers tonight will receive a free copy of Jamie's book titled What I Didn't Learn at School But Wish I Had. Gentlemen, welcome to the program. Thanks so much for joining us. Jamie, thanks for coming in. Great to have you back as well, Mike.
Thanks, Anne.
Now, Jamie, I'm going to start talking a little bit about your background, if I could. Now, you say that you were, $150,000 in debt and unemployed. This is only a few years ago. How did you get yourself into that position to begin with?
Yeah, I always had a dream at a young age to become quite financially successful. So I ended up starting a business at a young age, and I made some decent money, but also lost a lot of money. So, and I'd secured that business with my personal guarantee. So I found myself almost bankrupt, $150,000 in debt. This is probably going back now 13, 14 years ago. So I was in a pretty difficult situation, and I had to somehow figure out how to turn that around. And what I realised is that around money, I wasn't taught these things at school, and I just didn't know how to manage money, how to invest money. So I was really starting to look for some mentors, people that had produced financial results, so I could learn off them and start to produce some results for myself.
Mike, how important are mentors?
I think mentors are very, very important. In fact, if you can find someone who has been successful, that's a great role model to follow. And I think most of us aspire to find someone who can actually show them the practical outworkings of how they got where they are and learn from those lessons.
And at the very least, if you can't find a mentor, find yourself a good financial planner.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now, Jamie, you believe it's never too early to take control of your finances. So realistically, how early should somebody start? While they're still at school?
Well, it's a good question. I think in Australia now, most people know that when they're not going to be able to retire to a pension in the future. Peter Costello, when he was Treasurer, told everyone that basically there won't be that to take care of them. So everyone now really is responsible for taking care of their financial future. So obviously, the earlier you start, the easier it is. It doesn't mean if you're much older that you can't start then, but if you can start at school and have a good financial education before you leave school, I mean, how many people would have loved that when they were at school? To leave school with the knowledge to go about how to start saving, how to go about investing, how that would be, the younger you are, the better.
So what didn't you learn at school but wish you had?
Well, I think one of the big things I found, most people probably relate to this when you go out into the workforce, that one of the big parts of life is money, whether we like it or not. So the biggest part I didn't learn at school was financial education. And that really, life is pretty difficult, I think, unless you master money, as most people would agree. So that also emotional intelligence, how to control your psychology, your attitude, your belief systems around money and around life in general. Those things weren't necessarily taught at school that I found later would have been very invaluable once I had to learn those things outside of school.
Mike, do you agree with that, or do you think maybe kids should just be allowed to be kids?
Well, we had this a bit of this conversation a few weeks ago, and we looked at some of the issues that younger people can get themselves trapped into, and phone debt. I wish I'd have learnt a lot of things about finance and how to manage money, and as Jamie said, the psychology of money when I was in sixth form or year 12, and been able to take that through into purchasing my first car. And as we talked the other week, things are a lot more complex than they were when I was back in school, and I did the HSC in 1977. So I think it's absolutely critical to have an education around money and finances as early as possible.
Jamie also mentioned emotional intelligence surrounding that. What do you take that to mean?
Well, I think it's your attitude towards money, and some people have a negative disposition towards money, and that makes it very difficult to be successful. I'm a believer that if you approach the world, as most things, with an attitude of the glass is half full as opposed to half empty, things will work for you a lot more positively than not, and that applies to money as much as anything.
Yeah, and with all due respect, I mean, things have changed a lot, hasn't it, since you guys were at school? I mean, you probably didn't wander around with mobile phones and maybe even your own credit card that your parents had authorised for you.
Not.
Yeah. Now, what about on the other end of the spectrum, Jamie, when we talk about people who are perhaps nearing their retirement age, perhaps they're in their 60s or maybe their 50s, they might be thinking it's too late to turn things around?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think that, but I don't think it doesn't. It doesn't matter what age you is. Obviously, if you're younger, you've got an advantage if you learn, but at that age, it's probably more crucial, because at that age you're coming closer to retirement, so you actually have to take action. So if you know about money, and I mean, investing is a hobby, that's the way I treat it, and it can be fun. So I think if people understand that it can be something they can link pleasure to, something they can enjoy doing, another part of their life, they'll be more motivated to do it. And at that age, they certainly want to take charge of their financial future, otherwise they're going to be relying on a pension that is not going to exist in the future.
I want to talk a lot more about superannuation and retirement with you gentlemen in just a minute, but let's go to our first caller, Andrew from Queensland. Hi there, Andrew.
Hi, how you going?
We're all well, thank you.
Excellent. The question I have, just want to get some advice. I'm a 38 years of age, earn about $100,000 per year. I've got a unit and I owe about $30,000 on it. It's valued about $360,000. And I've just recently taken out a loan for $200,000 and invested that into some managed funds, and it's a growth managed fund. And since I think I took that on around December, and since then I've only seen losses, and I'm a bit nervous of my financial plan from here.
Yeah, I can see that you would be a bit nervous. Anyone is when they see losses, aren't they, Mike?
Yeah. Oh, look, absolutely. Andrew, I'd have a question for you, I think, to start with, and that is that were you looking to invest for the longer term in that those managed funds that you invested in?
Yeah, I'm looking for anywhere from a 5 to a 7 year investment.
Okay, look, none of us like to see that our funds are going backwards, and these are slightly unusual times, but they do come around in cycles. The last time we saw the markets perform like this were back around 2001 through to 2003. But if you look back over history, what you'll find is, depending on where you're invested, and I guess you're in a variety of different funds, if they're managed funds, you'll find that over history they've always outperformed these short periods of time we see where perhaps with the market volatility you're seeing some negative returns or your capital diminish a little bit. So if you're in it for the long term, the thing I'd encourage you to stick with is, if your strategy was originally to go for say 7 or 10 years, is to stick with that strategy. You'll come out the other side of this particular period of volatility we've got at the moment, and you'll see gains beyond what you're seeing at the moment, and achieve your goals.
Okay, Jamie, what's your advice? I mean, on the surface, it seems Andrew's doing pretty well for himself. What, he's 38, earns 100K, he only owes 30 grand on his property. I guess the managed funds is the issue that he's looking at. What's your advice?